Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about spiritual warfare. I have another channel on astrology and a Facebook page on prophetic writings. I wrote there 4 years. You will find that in the description box below, and I invite you to read that. Um, of course, as always, the caveat, there are individuals who are using my identity, stealing identity, and essentially they use it in order to do harm on me and to do harm on others. They are doing fraudulous, illegal activity, and on my end, I am pursuing a legal path for them to be punished by law enforcement and justice system. For you, and of course for me as well, you must be aware, discerning, and to continue your spiritual fighting, not to engage with them as they are just. I don't contact anyone. So if somebody uses my identity to contact you, just know that it's one of these doppelgangers who have nothing else to do than to impersonate me. Now, in this video, God has asked me to speak about a specific aspect of karma delivery, which probably hasn't been noticed by everyone. For some reason, God is showing to me that there are individuals who did not pay attention to the video I made and to the prophetic writings I wrote about your claim to justice. And God wants me to point out this to everyone, namely that if you go back to my video, I explained there and I gave the wording of the claim for justice and judgment. Also is written in the description box of that video. And if you read carefully, hopefully you have done it already and you claim justice and judgment. But if you didn't, then you will see now, you will notice that the divine judgment and punishment is done according to their actions and intentions. And then it says forward according to the harm done, harm intended, and harm facilitated. Now, the distinction is important because as we fight the spiritual fight and we walk our path standing in our light, regardless if you do it consciously or not yet, God makes a very clear distinction between actions and intentions because you have your divine protection as long as you carry on your spiritual fight. Yeah. Particularly if you are not guilty of anything and this is just a vendetta and a persecution conducted at you. But even for those who are doing redemption and so on, for everybody who works with God and in light, there is divine protection. Of course, there is no divine protection for those who are doing harm. And there is a specific time in their actions when God decides to basically just strip them of divine protection. But as you have divine protection, you dodge bullets. You are protected. Many people call it intuition. I didn't go there because my intuition told me. The intuition is God. I'm telling you, I know in this 3D, the narrative is in such a way so people feel a little bit uncomfortable saying, I speak to God. But this is the true reality. This is who you are and who you are. You should be. You should be able to speak with God truly. Intuition is God and the divine realm whispering to you what to do. This is the intuition. Now, according to how much you clean your energy and you raise your vibration, you will be able to hear God or not, to see God or not, to have a direct communication in actually asking questions and receiving answers or not. But that's the intuition. Now, all of that, which people call intuition and so on, this is divine protection and guidance from divine realm, helping you to navigate through bondages and attacks at you. So when you will have your direct communication with God, God will show you what was done against you, but also as you go through your bondage breaking, God will show you what they intended to do. Because 100% in situations, basically what happened to you is nothing as compared to what they intended to do. They intend to do much more harm than they succeed. And the judgment upon them comes for both things that they actually have done against you, but also for the things that they intended to do against you. So, for example, if these crazy doppelgangers who keep stalking me and trying to impersonate me, and I emphasize trying because I do not believe any one of them succeeds to actually impersonate me. If they send death attacks at me, God will punish them for what kind of harm succeeded to touch me. But of course, God will punish them also for the intent of killing me. Even if, of course, through divine protection and spiritual fighting, I break free of that attack, and I succeed to survive. Yeah, so God will punish both actions, but also intentions. This is very important to understand, and I truly hope that everyone is aiming to reach that point, to have the dialogue with God, because it is really mind-blowing when you will learn what they actually intended to do to you. If you think that what they have done to you is bad, you will be completely shocked when you learn what they actually intended to do against you. And most of the times, God will give you guidance how to dodge bullets, how to avoid that. But if you don't succeed to avoid it, I have seen this in my own experience. God will downplay the attack. So, for example, if there is a curse which they create with spirits sent to you, sorcery and demonic attachments in order to kill you or something, to have an accident, it happened to me many times. God will make it in such a way that you will have a very small accident. So it will be something that will not touch you. Either that somehow you will have some sort of mismanagement of the car, or something will break on your car, or you will hit, for example, when you park your car, you will hit a wall or anything that is around you. And this is how God downplays. I have seen this with my own eyes, as I actually had small incidents like this with my car in the past. And while it happened, I was like, how the fuck this happened? Because I'm a good driver. How this happened? And God would show me, well, look at what they intended to do to you. This is just a way of us protecting you and downplaying the curse, just because at the time I was not doing spiritual fighting consciously. I did not know how to undo certain things. Now I'm much more experienced, but of course we always learn, because they are very inventive in creating these attacks. This is something that I always observed and noticed, even in my profession before. I always said, it is always amazing how the criminals are so much more inventive in creating trafficking and crime in general. But the system, at the time I was referring to the institutional system, is not so successful actually in developing ways to prevent them. Anyhow, it's the same with them in bondage creation, because it is a criminal activity. So we continue to learn, but the main message of this video is that they get punished and they get karma for both actions and intentions. Even if the intentions did not succeed to come into being in the form that they were formulated by them. They then further, it says harm done, harm intended, and harm facilitated. And I wrote a lot of prophetic writings about this, warning people at the time. Harm facilitated means when you create conditions for harm to be done on others. For example, those individuals who gossip and like to carry the gossip from one person to another and to keep embellishing it and to keep making drama out of it and so on. Those are people, even if they didn't create that harm, they receive the information from somebody else, yeah, who actually intended to create a bondage with that gossip on somebody. The individual who takes that gossip and embellishes and sends it forward and puts an effort into passing that on for others will be guilty of facilitating harm being done on that about whom is being gossiped. Because you're an adult, you know that you shouldn't be doing that. And you know that what you say it's a lie, especially the embellishment part. Maybe you don't have a clear understanding if what the information you received is true. But then if you don't know, you shouldn't pass it on if you don't know if it's true. And if you are just eager to receive that information and to keep passing it on, that and you still embellish it even more, that shows that you make yourself guilty of facilitating. Quite the same if you know that somebody is doing harm on others and you just sit idle and maybe even enjoy it, and you keep you cover for others. This is karma transfer is also being guilty of harm facilitation. Everyone in the justice system or law enforcement and any other institution who is covering up for them is guilty of facilitating harm onto other. You didn't do the harm yourself, but you covered for those who do harm so they can continue to do harm. So you're guilty, clearly. Even in 3D law enforcement, you have laws which basically find you guilty if you find you as guilty as accomplice to a murder, if you know and you hide the truth about that murder and you don't go to report it and you just watch and keep the information for yourself and cover for that one and so on. So it's normal, yeah. So this is very important to understand. Because and it's important for you when you claim justice to use the entire wording. That is a wording which God gave me and God showed me. You must use the entire wording, because otherwise what didn't come to be, if you don't say the entire wording also about harm facilitation and so on, then they get away with that part which they intended but they didn't carry it out. So it's important to use the wording that God gave for this purpose. And when they get judged and punished, they get judged and punished for everything that they have done, including the intentions which did not come into being simply because you continued your spiritual fighting, because God was providing protection to you and your spiritual guides and so on. This is also why the process of justice making and judgment and punishment takes a long time, because there's much bondage that did not come into being, but they intended to create it. They made efforts to create it, but for some reason or another, it didn't really